everyone. We have to go over Lab today. As you can see, Lab is at $7.45. It's up 71% in the last week, which is a lot. It's up 48% in the last 2 weeks and 970% in the last 30 days. And it's at a $3 billion market cap right now. But the fully diluted value is at 7.4 billion, which we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But also, I created a video on this a month ago, right? And this video was pretty much titled "Is Lab the next 100x gem?" Right? And this was 1 month ago. So I had this at 1 month ago, and it was May 1st when I put this video out, and it was at $1.81, right? And then I made this video saying, oh, it's about to dump massively after this, which it did end up dumping massively after that, because I made a video on it after it kept pumping and pumping. And I was like, oh, I got to tell people because it's about to dump. And that's exactly what it did. If you look over here, you can see it actually broke out from that channel. And it dumped all the way down to $2.92. I thought it would go down at $1.86, but it went to $2.92. So now today I want to talk about where I think this thing is going next, because I think I got the last two right. So let's see if I can get this next prediction right. Okay. So anyways, let's talk about Lab. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Let's get straight into it. I just kind of had to go over the whole lore of Lab because, you know, I made 2 videos on this and I've had people requesting for me to go over it again. So I'm going to go ahead and cover it for you guys. But yeah, like I was saying before, Lab, it's been pumping a lot. 72% in 7 days is a huge amount, right? And you guys already know what I was talking about on the first Lab video, where I was saying I think that, you know, there are some shady characters in Lab, and we're also going to talk about that in a little bit here, like I mentioned before. But I want to go over the technicals first, and then we'll talk about some of the fundamentals. But what I'm seeing right now inside a Lab is pretty interesting. This is the daily chart right here. And if you actually look at the MACD here, this is something that we call divergence, right? We call this bullish divergence, right? Actually, no, not bullish divergence. I'm sorry. We call this bearish divergence. But during bearish divergence, you are bullish because you're creating higher highs on your charts and you're creating lower highs on your MACD. Therefore, bearish divergence is bullish until the end of that bearish divergence completes, until it gets to that last lower high on the MACD. So the reason why this is important is because if you look at this bearish divergence, what's happening now? We're creating higher highs. That's what we're doing right now. And if you look back here, this was the higher high there. That's the new higher high. And the real question is, how long is this bearish divergence going to last? Are we going to have this bearish divergence last for another wave of higher highs and lower highs on the MACD? Because you look at the MACD here, that's just one lower high. This one looks like it's still going to go up a little bit more. This is the next one. And then we'll see if we can create a third one once we get some selling pressure. See if we can create a third lower high here. Because if we can create a third lower high on the MACD, then that means that we can create a third higher high on the charts. And that's why it's kind of important to look at the divergence of the MACD, because that will tell you where the next area is going. So we are for sure in bearish divergence, but the question is, are we going to get another higher high and then another lower high on the MACD, right? Are we going to get another one like I was mentioning before? Or is this the end of it? Once we get all this buying pressure, that's the last higher high, and then we start creating those lows, right? Those are the two options that we have here for the charts. Now, we can look at other things to see if it's more likely that we'll get another buying wave or not. And I think that's the most important thing to look at. But right now on the daily chart, we have the 50-day moving average right here, which is at the support at $2.96, which we already touched once down here. All right, so if we pull back, that's a level that we could watch out for. That's a very strong level with this. And then on the percent R trend exhaustion, we're kind of in an overbought range here. Typically, when it starts getting in an overbought range, it typically pulls back when it gets in these overbought ranges. But then sometimes it stays overbought for an extended period of time. So you got to keep that inside of mind as well. But anyways, as we're coming along inside of Lab, it is starting to look like there might be another buying wave right here. Like, just me looking at this personally, it looks like there could be another buying wave. But the real question is there really? Because if there's not, then we start seeing those red candlesticks pulling up. But usually we see a little bit more than just 2 green candlesticks on the MACD. So I think we might print out a third one. And if we print out a third one, that means we get one more higher high. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. So where is this next higher high going to land us? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. But if we get this thing pushing up any higher than what it's at now, possibly a little higher, but it already hit $9. So I don't know how much higher this thing can get. It already hit $9. And you just got to be extremely, extremely careful with that. But let's go to the 4-hour chart. Now, on the 4-hour chart, it's going to, well, actually, let's show you the weekly chart real quick. So on the weekly chart, you're not going to see much. And this is why I don't really like looking at these long-term charts like this. But if I was looking at just the weekly chart, I would be like, what if we get another huge green candlestick all the way up to $12, right? $12 is that next Fibonacci area. So if it's going to go anywhere, the price could go to $12 if it's going to go up, right? If this breaks past $9, then I think $12 is possible, right? Because that's that Fibonacci resistance up there at $12. So yeah, if we can pass $9, then $12 might be possible. And like I said before, it does look like a little bit more buying pressure might come in. But if buying pressure doesn't come in, then you're screwed. That's pretty much all there is to that. Now on the 4-hour chart, the 4-hour tells us a much different story. On the 4-hour chart, we are overbought on the percent R trend exhaustion, and we got a reversal signal, which is that bar, that red bar with the red down arrow. And you can see it's at that overbought range. But what happened last time when Lab was overbought, when it was pushing, remember? Because we have bearish divergence, so it was pushing up. So what happened last time? If you pull it up, we were actually overbought for an extended period of time. It sent this one signal right here, and then it pulled back for a little bit, right? And then it got overbought again, and then we got those 3 signals, but then it kept staying overbought, and then it pulled back. And the whole time, the price was increasing that whole time, right? Because it comes up here, it rises, pulls back because of that signal, comes up some more, and it just creates higher highs. And then even as the percent R trend exhaustion is going down, the price is going up. And that is pretty much how the divergence is working here. And that's why I always talk about divergence. Like, this is the 4-hour chart. And you're even seeing, even on the micro scale, on the 4-hour chart, we're still getting a divergence for our MACD. We're still seeing that bearish divergence for our MACD, which is showing higher highs on the chart and lower highs on the MACD, which is why it doesn't matter if the percent R trend exhaustion was going down and the price was still going up, because we still had bearish divergence and we still had to create higher highs on our charts. So this is just an example of how bearish divergence works with that. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because what do you think is forming right now? So even on the 4-hour as we speak, we're creating bearish divergence, but we have to create higher highs now because it's started again. So we've seen how it did its thing here, and then this was the last lower high, and then we had one down here, and now it's just started again. Huge breakout, and now we might see something similar where we start having the selling pressure coming in now, pushing down a little bit, and then pushing back up, and then the next lower high on the MACD, which creates another higher high on the chart. So I think something like this might happen, and if that happens, then we might actually see another higher high. So as we pull back, I'm looking for this to pull back from like $7. Like I said, 50-day moving average, possibly back down to $5, possibly back down to $6 at this Fibonacci support, right? And then if we get that next higher high, I think $12 is actually in the books for this thing. I think $12 could be achievable for this. But the reason why I'm not personally taking the trade is because I don't personally trust the project. And this is when we move into the second part of the video. But like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Like, you can make your own decision. For one, it's a BNB coin. All right. For one, it's a BNB coin. There's so many scams on the Binance Smart Chain. Doesn't mean this is a scam. Like, we see Asters on BNB. Aster is not a scam, right? And we have this on BNBs, right? So it doesn't mean much. But it's a BNB coin, so it's already making me wary of touching it. And then when I do the breakdown and I look at the top wallets, I also don't like the breakdown, right? You just look at it and you're just like, okay, top 100 concentration. So that means that the top 100 wallets owned 99.85% of the supply. So that's one reason why I won't touch it. Second reason, whale concentration, 99.76%. The distribution score, 0.99. That's absolutely terrible. It's high concentration. It means it's the highest concentration that there possibly could be for the top 10 wallets. They literally own they own all the coins, right? And with it being a Gini distribution score of 0.99, well, 0.99994, that pretty much shows that this is least the least possible non-scam. Like, that's what I'll say. Like, it's a very high possibility that someone's gonna get scammed, right? There's gonna be some exit liquidity used here. The whales own 99.76% of the coin. Like, people are getting used as exit liquidity. You're seeing platforms posting about this. It's top trending on CoinGecko. CoinGecko literally just posted on their Twitter, and they just now mentioned what just now happened there. So I think that this thing's kind of dodgy. But let's go ahead and read this person right here, Simon Dejic. I'm gonna just say that, but he says this: it's almost funny how obvious this lab scam is, yet nobody seems to be doing anything about it. The token is up another 2x this week and is now trading at an $8.6 billion fully diluted valuation. It's pretty clear that shady market makers are painting the charts to lure in retail traders and extract liquidity from them. Like I just said, the sad part is that something like this is only possible with the support of centralized exchanges, since you'd need fee-exempt accounts to pull it off at scale. Otherwise, the cost would be far too high. For example, if you look at dexes like PancakeSwap, there's so little liquidity for a token supposedly worth nearly 11 digits that a $10,000 buy order would move the price by more than 70%. That's absurd. One thing is certain, there will always be shady founders trying to get rich through scams. That's just the unfortunate reality of human nature, and it's a problem that exists in every industry. What I find even more disappointing is that major industry players like Gate.io, KuCoin, BitGet are willing to facilitate this kind of activity just to make a quick buck, even though it damages the very industry it operates in. So it shows how short-term and purely profit-driven their thinking is without any morals. And it's kind of true. Like, when you look at all the top holders are the exchanges. And that's because when they're finally about to use people as exit liquidity, right? When the whales are finally ready to use retail traders as exit liquidity, they then start selling. They start selling at large scales to these exchanges, right? They start pushing it off to the exchanges. And as they're doing that, this is how exit liquidity works. As they're doing that, retail traders like you are buying. So as they're selling large amounts, you're buying. So the price is steady. It's kind of climbing and then it drops. It's climbing and it drops. It's about to dump massively now, but it's not going to do it just yet. And I don't think it's going to do it just yet. And that's why I say I'm not going to trade this personally, because I already know how this type of stuff works. This is an exit liquidity scam, right? And maybe the developers aren't scammers. I don't know. The developers. I don't know any of them. But all I know is that this is how exit liquidity works, and people are about to get dumped on. This is how pump and dumping works, right? Like, you can literally pump and dump Aster, but Aster is not a scam. But you can pump and dump it, right? You can pump and dump Aster, but Aster is not a scam, right? So I'm not saying necessarily that this is a scam, that like the project's a scam or not, but it's definitely getting pumped and dumped right now. And there's some malicious people behind it. I don't know if it's the developers. I don't know if it's the whales. I don't know. But all I know is there's malicious actors behind it that are about to pump this thing up hard and massively and dump it. And when I look at this, I just think of divergence. Are we about to do the same exact thing now and create the same bearish divergence and have that next higher high? That's what I'm looking at. Are we about to have that next higher high, or is this thing done? So let's wait till we pull back, see if we hit this 50-day moving average at about $5, and then see if it bounces from $5 or $6, either one, and see if it can bounce and then reach $12 from there. If it reaches $12, that's the maximum that I think that it would be able to reach. And again, when I look at this, I see a possibility for this to go a little bit higher. When I just look at this chart, it might not even pull back to the level that I want it to, before it pushes higher, right? It might just push higher to $12 and then dump, right? But this thing is ready to get some type of push, and it's already been pushed by a lot. So people, they're ready to dump it, but they might try to do this thing one last time before they dump it. That's pretty much what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, the exchanges own most of the coins, 15% here for BitGet, Gate.io, they have 1%. But all the exchanges, they have a little bit of a bag here. And a lot of the money is concentrated in all these top wallets. You just got to be careful. You know, that's all it is. Roll the dice, be careful. But yeah, this is all I got for you guys today. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. I got to say that a lot in this video because, you know, I just don't want no one to get anything twisted. Like, if y'all get in on this, you're rolling the dice. I already told you I'm not willing to get in on it. But yeah, it does look like it wants to push up again. But I'm not about to roll the dice, right? I missed this train. Cool. Right, I called it at the beginning. I didn't buy it at the beginning because I didn't trust it. I didn't trust the tokenomics, and I look at it now, and I still don't trust the tokenomics. So you guys can do what you want, but it might pump, right? And that's exactly what I was talking about before. I was like, oh yeah, this thing's gonna go up and it's gonna pump, but then it's gonna dump massively, and then it did, and then it pumped again. So we'll see what happens. So anyways, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, I'll be back with another video.